Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. I'm Kyle Brotherson. You're watching Dirt Bike Channel. Today we're going to be reviewing this FMF Factory 4.1 anodized titanium slip-on muffler with carbon cap. That's a mouthful. Stick around. Guys, before we get too deep into this review, if you want to support Dirt Bike Channel, you can do that by using my links for Rocky Mountain ATV and Motorsport and Amazon, but specifically Rocky Mountain ATV. They can send you parts like this. They've got really super fast shipping. Right now during COVID-19, the shipping times are a little bit longer just because shipping everywhere is crazy. But Rocky Mountain ATV typically has everything in stock, and I buy almost all of my parts with them. If you use my links for Rocky Mountain ATV in the description or on my website, you support Dirt Bike Channel and it won't cost you anything. Also note that this bike is a bike that I am giving away. If you're watching this video before June 15th of 2020, you can go to my website, dirtbikechannel.com, and get entered to win this bike and a 2020 Beta and a 2019 KTM. So let's face it, none of the dirt bikes that I've ever purchased that you've seen on this channel have actually come with a spark arrestor installed from the factory. So if you want to be legal and ride these things in the forest or on public lands, you technically need to get a spark arrestor capable muffler. Now you can also just get end caps and things that have spark arrestors or screens or something like that. But the funny part about this is it makes me think the people who say that you can start a fire with these, I would invite them to go out in the wilderness and use flint and steel and try to start a fire, because I don't actually think that you can start a fire with what comes out of the tailpipe on all these bikes. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's the biggest reason why I wanted to get this slip-on muffler, is to actually make this thing spark arrested and make it legal. Now, as I mentioned, you could obviously just get like a spark arrestor cap that has a screen, and you could do that with your stock spark arrestor or your stock muffler. That happens a lot. Enduro Engineering makes some of these things. I wanted to get an actual muffler on this thing that was spark arrested. So I was looking around and trying to figure out what some of my options were, and I saw like with FMF, they had like the Power Core 4, and I actually reached out to FMF to find out which muffler they would suggest on this 2020 YZ250FX. And they said, hey, probably the Power Core 4 would be the one, but it was out of stock everywhere when I went to do it. And they actually offered to send me this upgraded model free of charge because I've bought so many different silencers from them in the past. Normally I would say no. I say no almost always to a free product because I don't want to get a product that has strings attached. But with those guys, I've purchased probably 50 of the freaking FMF Turbine Core 2 silencers for my 2-strokes, and I knew that it's a quality product. And I thought, you know what? I will accept this one. So this is not a paid review, but I also did not buy this part. It costs about 675 bucks, so it's very expensive, but it's also very nice. Let's talk about some of the things that I like about it and maybe where you might want to pump the brakes just a little bit. Okay, so let's talk about fit and finish. The finish of this muffler is very, very nice. They've done a really good job with it. It looks super nice on the bike. As far as how it fits, it's easy to install. You take a couple of bolts out. You've got a couple of bolt back here and this bolt here, and then this is where it kind of hooks onto the header pipe. It's very easy to take your stock pipe, your stock muffler off, and then this one, it didn't actually fit up perfectly. I was kind of expecting it to slip right on and have all the bolts lining up, but I had to kind of apply pressure here and there to get the threads to line up. It wasn't a big deal, but I was just expecting it to be a perfect fit, and it wasn't exactly perfect, but getting installed wasn't a big deal. Again, I mentioned that the look of this thing is pretty trick. You've got the blue anodized section down here. You've got, on this one, you've got the carbon fiber tail cap, and then you have a spark arrestor insert that essentially goes right down in here, and it installs with kind of like a circlip type thing. I put that on right away because that was my biggest reason for doing this, but that when you get it, it doesn't come with the spark arrestor insert in there. That's something that you'll just snap in later. Something else to note is that when you have that the spark arrestor insert in there, you can kind of hear it rattling around when you're just playing with the silencer, but once you get it installed on the bike, you can't hear it any longer. Probably the biggest benefit, at least for me, is that I think it makes the bike a little bit quieter. I don't have like a decibel meter or anything that I can actually test this with, but just inside my helmet, I do think the bike got quieter. It was one of my complaints is that the bike was so loud. This particular bike was so loud, it sounds like you're opening up a black hole. And I feel like this actually reduced the decibels a little bit, which is a very good thing, even inside your helmet or behind you or just in the surrounding area. To have it a little bit quieter, I think is a very good thing. And I think that's probably the biggest thing that this does over stock. Let's talk about it compared to the stock muffler. So this is the stock muffler that's on the bike. I actually weighed these things, and it turns out that the FMF factory 4.1 anodized version, just like this, is about a little more than a half a pound lighter than this stock muffler that I've got. But it's also longer. As you'll see in the pics, FMF says that they've shortened this down. Well, this is actually a little bit longer than the stock muffler that's in my hands. I'll show you with some of the pics that I'm rolling in. You can see that the stock muffler basically hides behind the number plate thing, the plastic here, whereas the FMF sticks out about 3 inches. So you are going to get a little bit longer with your FMF, which might make it a little bit more susceptible to damage if you're wheeling over or you do have a crash or something like that. So it's just something to know. If you bought this thinking that you're going to spend $675 and it's going to be much lighter, it's not going to be a lot lighter. We're talking a half a pound, and it will be longer, although it does look good, but just something to note. FMF also claims that it broadens your horsepower across the entire RPM spectrum, and they probably have like dynamometer results to show that or to prove that. For me, I couldn't feel any power difference. I rode it one day with the stock muffler on it, and then the very next day I rode it with the FMF 4.1 factory on there, and I couldn't tell any difference. But it's really difficult. I think that most riders are not going to be able to feel a couple horsepower either way. The bike does run really, really good with it, but I didn't notice, like, it's not like I'm all of a sudden getting hole shots or anything like that. Not that I'm doing hole shots, but you get my point. So kind of in conclusion, for me and my money, this is probably a little bit out of my price range for something that I would buy for my bike. I think I would just do the standard like Power Core 4 muffler, which you could get spark arrested. So it looks really good, and it is a little bit lighter, but it's a little bit longer. So for the guys out there that are just wanting, I'm not saying that this is just a bling part, because it has function to it. But this is kind of a bling thing in the way that it's set up right now. And for me, it's probably a little bit overkill. You could get the Power Core 4, I think that's what it's called. And you could save about $300 with that. I think they come in, the Power Core 4 was about $360. That would be my, my overall pick if I was to do this again and it was my money. So I want to thank, FMF for sending this over here, and it's a pretty cool product. It's a pretty cool company, but I think I would just go for the Power Core 4 if I was spending my money on it. So again, I just wanted to thank FMF for sending this part over to me. It is a very, very nice part, and some of you guys are going to want to buy this thing, and I don't have any reason why you shouldn't buy it unless, money is tight. Okay, so that's what I've got for you today. Make sure you head over to my website, get entered to win this thing. And until next time, let's leave a single track. Thanks.